to honor incredible joy in people's lives, we have 2 life cycle celebrations happening tonight in our community. We have a baby, in case you haven't seen. She's pretty delicious. And she is getting her Hebrew name, Mia. So if you are here with her, raise your hand. We'd love to welcome you under the Shir Tikvah tent. And Jill, who has been a member of our community a couple of months ago, formally converted to Judaism. And we are delighted to hear her story tonight, to hear her journey, and what brought her to find her home in our Jewish community. So we are so excited to have you here tonight. And if you are members of Temple Shir Tikvah, raise your hand. We are just excited to be together tonight, right? There doesn't get a better reason to come together. If you are a former member of Temple Shir Tikvah who traveled all the way from Hawaii just to be at services under our tent, we are excited for you to be here tonight. And we are beyond grateful to our tech team who, you can't believe the number of trips it takes to move a synagogue outside into the backyard, but they can tell you, and they never do. That's even better. So we want to say thank you to our tech team for tonight. We are missing Beth, of course. You will notice immediately upon the start of my singing that she is not here tonight. She gets to celebrate that her niece is becoming bat mitzvah tomorrow. And so she is with her family having a good old-fashioned Shabbos dinner, and we are sending them all of our love tonight. So whether you're part of our online community, our intent community, the community that exists wherever you are, because it even reaches to Hawaii these days, we are so glad to be here together. And we're going to sing Hine Matov, how good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. And baby Mia, we are invited. Your light is part of what we're celebrating tonight. So we're going to invite you and your immediate family, so those people who live in your house, to go to the back. You see those candles back there? And Jill and Ari, you as well. And we are going to add a little light to our community by kindling these lights and saying the blessing together and acknowledging that when Shabbat comes, a deep breath and a little light helps. So, yep, you got it. It could be the suggestion of a light as well. That's fine. When the grill lighter won't work. Oh, good. And if you want, I invite you to make 3 circles with your hands. You can bring the light of this community and these moments of joy of these families and cover your eyes until the end of the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And find somebody near you and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And if it doesn't stay lit, it's no problem. It wouldn't be the first Shabbos that the wind won. And we're going to invite baby Mia up to our grassy bima here. And Jade, can you come on up too? You feeling up to it? Okay. And grandparents of these 2 extraordinary young people, could you join us up here as well? We're going to start with a blessing from the grandparents. Not yet. Oh, hold on.
We are thankful for the blessing you have bestowed upon us. We have been granted a new grandchild to love, the start of the next chapter in our family's chronicle. May our grandchild grow up in health and happiness.
May her dear parents find much joy in the years that lie before them. O God of life, may they raise their child with wisdom and understanding. May they teach her the ways of righteousness, leading her to the study of Torah and the practice of love and kindness.
May we too be granted the joy of seeing her develop all her gifts. May we know the joy of helping her fulfill the best that is in her.
May we know the joy of passing on to a new generation our values, our stories, and our traditions. Then our prayers will have been answered as we share in the joy of our children and grandchildren. Amen.
Amen. Joel and Sarah, we're going to invite you up to tell us about the Hebrew name.
So Ia Danielle, or Daniela Maya, is named after her cousin Daniel, who we love very much. And we hope that she is as smart and has as warm of a heart and as big of a smile as he always had.
I'm going to ask you two to say these words either in the Hebrew or in the English.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik Israel.
Good. And into the English.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who follows us with mitzvot and commands us to bring this child into the covenant of our people Israel.
Amen. And we are going to wrap Mia in her grandfather's talit, which is here with her today and which held her older sister when she was entered into the covenant as well, as I recall. Ooh, I think Mia thinks I'm questionable. Just going to put this out there. So yeah, definitely sus. Jade, do you want to be part of this? So we're going to wrap your mommy and your sister up. Can you help wrap them up like they're in a big bath towel? Yep. Mm-hmm. And can you hold it behind them? Eloheinu velo. See, I told you that she thinks I'm suspect. Eloheinu velohei avotenu ve'imotenu. Kayam et hayelda hazot v'yikra Shema b'Yisrael Maya Daniela. Zot hakitana gedola tihiyah. Keshem sheniknas lebrit. Ken tikanes leTorah ulachupa ulama asim tovim. You can, if she's unhappy about the talis, the official naming is over, so you can take her out. I'm just guessing. Our God, she really doesn't like. Oh, he wanted to stand. That's okay. Yeah, you could stand. You wouldn't be the first person to stand while getting their name. Our God and God of our mothers and our fathers, sustain this child through her parents' loving care. Let her be known among our people Israel by the name Daniela Maya. May her name be a source of joy to her, inspire her to serve our people and all humankind. May she grow, and may her parents rejoice in the growth of body and of soul. Yes, woman. We need more women with that kind of opinion. So we're all right. As they have brought her into the covenant, so may they, with wisdom and patience, lead her to a life filled with Torah, with learning and community, with chuppah, a home that is full of love, and ma'asim tovim, an opportunity to make our world a better place. Together we say, Amen. And we're going to join. Cindy, would you like to lead us in the Shehechianu, please? V'kiyamanu, v'higyanu, lazman hazeh. And simin tavu, mazel tavu, simin tav, mazel tavu, simin tav, mazel tavu, simin tav, yehelanu. Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Mazel tov to you all. Yes, and Jade is going to have the final words of blessing in this.
I love my sister so much, and I love her for being this great sister to me.
Oh, amen. So as some of you have guessed, tonight's service is a little different than well, there is no such thing as a standard Shir Tikvah service, I admit at this point, but this is less standard than even our usual. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to sing through the section of the service called the Shema and her blessings. This is the service that would be said twice a day or 3 times a day. Well, no, this part would be said twice a day. If you were living a more traditional lifestyle. And it is, I think, one of the most beautiful teachings of Judaism. It's just, it kind of gets lost because it just feels like prayer after prayer after prayer. And so I thought tonight, on a night when we are sitting outside amongst creation, and the seagulls have been going nuts this week in our pond, and so they have been singing their hearts out with us all week. Was that a seagull or a person? Oh, it was Mia. That was awesome. Sorry, Mia. I'll remind you of that at your bat mitzvah. I thought we would sing these parts of the service, these early blessings that surround the idea of the oneness of all life. on a night when we're bringing families who are celebrating such special occasions together. And sometimes we think our stories are our stories. And I thought we would really concentrate on the way our stories are all part of a story, a larger story, and how one of the larger stories we're a part of is creation, and creation of in the tiny level. She's not so tiny anymore, but Mia started pretty tiny, I would bet. And creation at the community level, and creation at the level of the world we live in. So we'll sing Barhu, which is our invitation to each other. We'll sing Shema, we'll sing V'ahavta, we'll sing Hashkivenu, we'll sing this early part of the service. But I invite you while we're singing, if you're a little young for all this Hebrew, if the Hebrew's not in your tradition, if you just don't even feel like singing tonight, or you can't find the note I'm on, which is entirely possible, I invite you to just find a place to rest your eyes. That's beautiful. Find something that you wouldn't get to see if you weren't here tonight, and let yourself spend some time connecting to it, because this service, this part of the service, is all about our ability to connect to each other. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Home. And we continue with the Shema. It's funny that we speak it out loud twice a day because the first word is listen. So I invite you, we're going to pause for a few seconds before we sing. Listen to the creation around you. And by the way, children's voices definitely count as creation in my book. So if that's what you're hearing, that's part of this prayer as well. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Being part of creation with allergies, you may be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta, these acts of love that are to fill our days and our nights. The tradition says we move from this recognition that we are all one into acting in love. And that is the journey the rabbis take us on by moving one prayer to another. And again, you all sat on the wrong side of the sanctuary to see the screen. So I should have warned you about that. I apologize. If you need to move because of your eyesight, just bring yourself closer. That's fine too. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And the rabbis said that when we act day and night in love, when that is true, we will reach the far shores of the sea again. So if that was freedom from slavery, when we live in a world marked fully by love, we will reach, they said, redemption. And I think that's a pretty beautiful teaching and understanding. So these words, mi chamocha, are all about that shout of joy that says, we believe that we will reach the world when all are free, when all can act and live in love. Who has a favorite mi chamocha? Because I am suddenly blanking on tunes. Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehillah, ose fele, ose fele. Sing it again. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehillah, ose fele, ose fele. And on this journey that the rabbis are taking you through, they say redemption, they try to define it for you in a way you can imagine. And so they put these words, hashkivenu, words that speak of shelter even in dark times, words that say we will be held in peace even when we are unsure of what that means. And so we imagine that world, particularly looking at the young faces today. We imagine that all young people will be sheltered in peace. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. And I invite you now to find yourself somewhere beautiful. And you can define beautiful anywhere you want. It can be the pictures of this screen, which are on theme today as usual. It can be getting lost in the movement of the leaves, which could be a form of meditation all of itself. But I invite you to a place of silent prayer. Find yourself wherever you need to be. And we'll sing the first words, Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, together. And then I invite you to pray the prayers of your heart. So please rise, embody your spirit, and wander if you feel so moved. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. If you are still praying, please let our voice accompany rather than interrupt you. Continue with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Bimroma. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. On a week that witnessed what we witnessed this week in Uvalde, these words that we will use as our Misha Berach ring truer than ever. They are, when the world is sick, can't no one be well. And I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. This week, our community is praying for Diana Sanders, for Adam Gelb, Jerry Berenson, Caroline Lieber, Irina Kamis, Sharon Solomon, Bob Ruxon, Nancy Alpert, Ayelet Bat Chava Verhersh Shmuel, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, Michael Berman, Anya Cabell, Sue Boardman, Carol and Hal Ober, Sarah Kianowski, Angie Silver, Debbie Sachs-Pluto, Joyce, Stanley Roth, and Kathy Nath. If there is someone you are praying for, somebody whose name you would like shared in our community tonight, if you are joining us on Zoom, I invite you to use the chat function of the technology to add their name to our community. If you are here in the tent, I invite you to raise your hand so I may indicate towards you and you can say their name out loud. For all those names, for all who are in search of healing and wholeness right now in these desperate times. Let's sing these words together. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? And I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? And I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. Ana elna rifana la. Ana elna rifana la. Ana elna rifana la. Ana elna rifana la. When the world is sick, can no one be well? And I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? And I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. One of the ways our tradition teaches us to be strong is to touch joy when it's available. It's not to pass it by, which is tempting to do when the world is hurting, in particular, or when we're hurting, but even more so in those moments to stop and acknowledge that there is goodness available to us. The Talmud teaches you're supposed to say 100 blessings a day in that vein, 100 times, no matter what else is going on around you. Stop, notice, see something that touches your heart and name it. Jill is one of those human beings for me. I met Jill and Ari when they were preparing for their wedding just before the pandemic. We snuck it in. I forget, did you get your honeymoon or not? You did get your honeymoon, okay. So, and sometimes a rabbi does a wedding and then she doesn't see somebody for a long time. But not Jill, not Ari. They have become members of our community here at Shir Tikvah, albeit though it was a digital community for a large part of their connection to us, they stuck with us. And then I got an email from Jill that said, hey, you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about converting. Now, my heart, a rabbi's heart, automatically goes flutter, 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 flutter when somebody wonderful says, I see this tradition and I see something in it that I want to be a part of. And so it is an honor, Jill, to have you here tonight with us on a Friday night to give a version of what we call her Sinai Statement. So Sinai is when the Israelites stood at Sinai and accepted the covenant, but not just the Israelites back then. All of us were there, tradition teaches. And so when you are honored to choose your role in the Jewish community, you write your own Sinai Statement about what led you to this place. So Jill, it's an honor. I'm going to give you a microphone and a music stand. And all of our joy. And we have to turn this on. Yeah, of course. For sure. And if you can, no.
Can you hear me now?
Take another step.
Another step closer? Yeah.
There
Okay,
it is.
there we go. All right. So continuing with what Rabbi Cari said, I looked on my email and I had actually emailed you at first, early 2020, before we were closed. And so I'm really happy to finally be here and have taken this next step in my Jewish journey, because as I'm sure you can all relate, COVID just decimated my plans of initially wanting to convert back in 2020. So it's really great to finally be here. But we are here. We're all here. I'm here. So little short version of my story. I grew up in a really small town in upstate New York, near Syracuse. This was very small farming town where we have the bank, the traffic light, the post office. And we were really proud of the fact that back then we had more cows than people. So you got kind of an idea of where I grew up. So saying that our town wasn't very diverse, might be the understatement of the year. There was one Jewish family, and the son actually happened to be very close to my age, but that didn't really mean much. And the only thing I knew is that he didn't celebrate Christmas, which for a long time I believed that just meant that he never got told about Santa, and that he didn't believe in the New Testament, but I had no idea what that meant. So my parents brought my sister and I up to question everything, to try to understand everything, to try to get the meaning behind it and understand the intentions of the person that is speaking. They stressed and instilled in my sister and I education and the importance of it, and the importance of information. And that was throughout our childhood, and supported us going to college for STEM degrees. And so even for my Jewish project, I took a class at Harvard online for Judaism through its scriptures, because I felt I was lacking in that department. So yeah, information, really important. We're going to come back to this. So growing up, my family celebrated major Christian holidays, Easter, Christmas. And when we were toddlers, my parents started bringing us to Methodist church on Sundays. And it didn't last very long, but it etched a very important memory in me. And that when we went to church, I would always ask questions. My sister and I would too. Why are we doing this? Why do we say this? Why are we going here? Why do we say this? And it was very common that we would just get, because God says so, because Jesus says so, because the Bible says so, or shh, which was very common. So it did not last very long that we went to church. It was very short-lived. So fast forward to 2015, when I met my wonderful husband, Ari. Similar in the importance of education, Ari attended an Orthodox K-8 Hebrew academy, and his family went to a conservative synagogue where he read his Torah and Haftorah portion of his bar mitzvah, which I'm told is very impressive. So I wanted to make sure to embarrass him. Many of our early dates when I first met Ari was really just me asking about Judaism, which was okay with him because that meant that I was asking about him, because Judaism is part of what defines him. So it was important. And from that part is where I first realized that Judaism is an experience, a lifelong experience, and not just a set of rules that are in a Bible. And from the beginning, Ari always told me that it was never important to him that I converted, and he would never ask me to, but he would fully support me if I did, but that it would be my choice. Oh, me neither. None of us do. So at first I thought, I'm not going to convert. I remember church. That's not something I want again. But then Ari and I went to our first Jewish holiday together, and that pretty much just sealed the deal, which is another fun story. So Ari, his brother Eitan, and I went to a Passover Seder at the Chai Center in Brookline, and we decided very, very last minute to go. So my entire understanding of Passover was explained in the last 5 minutes of the drive there, when Ari and Eitan realized that they hadn't told me anything, and that I just knew that I was dressed nice and that I was going to get wine. And so as soon as we got there, everyone was welcoming at the Chai Center. Everyone was welcoming with open arms. Everyone is explaining to me what was going on, and nobody was shaming me for not being Jewish or not understanding what was going on. It was especially a little bit confusing because at the beginning, they separated the men and the women. So I was like, I have no idea where I'm going. And Ari and Eitan were like, oh yeah, we forgot about that. We got back together to have the Seder, but that was just the beginning. And so, lost my spot. All right. So we started the Seder, and while reading the Haggadah, we were at a part I'm sure you're all familiar with, and I leaned over to Ari and I said, yeah, but was it really 40 years? And I was expecting to be shushed because that's what I had gotten from my experience. But instead, Eitan spoke up and said, actually, you should ask. They'd really like that. Raise your hand and ask. And I wasn't brave enough to, but 5 seconds later, somebody else asked that question. And this ensued a 15-minute discussion where tons of people were talking and just information getting talked about and discussed and arguing and back and forth. And it was awesome. Nobody at any point in time said, no, you shouldn't be asking that question, or we have to move on. Everyone just wanted to talk about it. And so from that point on, I knew that this was where I was supposed to be. So since that Seder, Ari and I have continued our Jewish journey together, from our Jewish wedding in 2019 to attending high holiday services. We host Seders often, which is indeed my favorite holiday. And now, most recently, my conversion. So thank you for listening. I promise I'm not sick.
The trees might hate you, but we love you. And we want to offer you these words of blessing. I'm going to wrap you in this. In the old days, I would have had everybody come literally gather around and hold you, just in case. I think I want you to imagine that this is the embracing arms of our community. These seat at the corners represent the mitzvot that have marked our lives. And This shawl, I hope, represents that feeling that you explained so beautifully about what it felt like to find yourself in a religious tradition that embraced so much of who you naturally are and what it felt like to come home. So I want to offer you these words on behalf of everyone here. We rejoice as we welcome you, Jill, into our midst. You who so willingly and devotedly join our community. And now, as one community, we celebrate this remarkable occasion by joining together in the Shehechianu, praising God for allowing us to reach this joyous season. This is the same blessing that welcomed baby Mia. It's used at moments where you are so grateful to have reached this time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Mazel tov. Yep. Simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simin tov, mazel tovu, simin tov. I can take the talit. Tovu, mazel tovu, simin tov. Yehelanu, yehelanu, yehelanu. Ulecho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Not often you get to Siman Tov twice in a service. So I'd say it's a Good Friday at Shir Tikvah. We move into the concluding prayer and blessing for our time together under this beautiful tent, celebrating Shabbat, letting this warm breeze relax us. If you're a summer person, it relaxes you. If you're not, I'll see you all in October. When we are together in community, it is great joy. Often that is our first experience. And it is equally longing. It is feeling the loss of those who we wish could be here with us, whose presence lives in our hearts, but whose lives have ended. If there is somebody you are remembering, somebody whose name you would like to say aloud in our community before we recite Mourner's Kaddish together, I invite you to raise your hand so I can indicate towards you and you can say that person's name out loud. If you are joining us in our digital community, I invite you to use the chat function of the technology you're using to join us. In addition, our community acknowledges the recent deaths of Richard Bemis, the father of Whitney Scherer, Barbara Mintz, the mother of Judy and Susan, mother-in-law of Bill Yeager and Andrew Klepner. We are in the period of Shloshim for Erwin Lebo and Helen Fine. And it is the yard site. Harav, I think you just said this. I apologize. Catherine is your mother-in-law. We are in the year of remembrance for Roberta Lipperman, Michael Slonim, Stuart Fay, Al Levin, Claude Lieber, Ruth Sipperstein, Ken Blumberg, and Henry Wolfson. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you are able. Together we become a community of memory with these words. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra chirte v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mivorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel and all who mourn, as together we say, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We conclude our service with kiddush and motzi before a beautiful, delicious, absolutely awesome looking oneg in honor of Mia and her naming. I think she picked out the cookies explicitly herself, is my understanding. So let me just grab a cup of juice and we will make two last blessings. Sorry, back up to the front. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechaim. And is Jade around? Jade, can you find the challah? I'll give you a hint. It's near where you lit the candles. Can you and Mom go find the challah? Can that be your job? All right. And Jade, can you point to it? Can everybody point to Jade? All right, ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. All right, and Jade, this is the most important part. Can you or your mommy rip a piece off and take a bite? Shabbat shalom, everyone.